Good morning. It's a cool morning this morning. It's 30s-ish. Not the best day for working, but not too bad here in the shop. It's pretty windy out. I was going to shoot a little bit of coverage, and I'm going to have to shoot some of this series outside just because I'm not dragging a whole car in here to show you that. But most of this series I can shoot here in the shop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try something a little different. And all of these introductions are going to be exactly the same because I'm going to use this introduction for all of the series. But we're going to cover miscellaneous things, motor mounts, transmission bell housings and or transmissions. Let's see, we're going to go with 4-speed transmissions, difference between A, B, C, E body. We're going to go over K-frames, the similarities and differences between big block and small block. So basically I'm going to do a little mini-series on big block and small block and the differences of the different parts you're going to need if you go from a small block to big block or vice versa. A lot of guys are switching over from small blocks to big blocks, and even a few crazy people that might want to go the other way. But so a lot of times not knowing will end up spending money where you don't have to. I've had a guy call me up. He's all excited because he bought this transmission at a great deal for a small block, and he didn't want it for 440. He had no idea that there was a difference between the big and the small block. So I'm going to do this little mini series, and I'm going to do little bitsy ones, little short ones on each item, and that way y'all don't have to waste a lot of time watching, 45 minutes of video if all you care about is what the difference between the motor mounts is. So I'll do a bunch of mini series, and then series is that a word? Series? Well, anyway. And that way you can just tune into whichever one you want. But I'm also going to do one long one, which is going to cover all of these things, the transmissions and the motor mounts and the, bell houses and, K-frames and all that stuff. So that way you can watch the whole thing at once instead of having to tune into each mini-series. So it can go either way. Okay? So I'm going to stop talking now because nobody really wants to hear me talk. You guys just want to know what's what, right? So here we go. We're going to start with, doesn't really matter, does it? But we're probably going to start with the differences on the 4-speed transmissions between A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Of course, F and A are the same. So anyway, there's a million different, we'll just tune in. Big block and small block motor mounts. Big block, small block. Now, at first you say, oh, well, yeah, that's way different. That looks a lot different. And it does. But there's more significant ways to tell other than that. For one, big block is longer, roughly 7 inches. Small block, 6 inches. Okay, 5 3/4 on that one. Good 6 3/4 on this one. Okay, so big block, bigger. Makes it easier, right? Big block's going to be bigger. Now, another difference is, if you'll notice, the big block, both sets of holes are kind of going that way, right? When I put them side by side, both sets of holes are, if I'm standing this way, well, this is going to be your left hand because of this piece right here reinforces it because the torque is pulling on that side, I'm assuming. So your left hand is always going to have this piece of tubing in there, okay, to reinforce it. And these are more towards the middle, but they're still going to be towards that side when you put them together like this. This one is a little more that away and no support. So this is going to be your right hand. Actually, it doesn't even have a hole on that side, okay? And so that's one of the easiest ways to tell. So length, and then both of your holes are basically on one particular side. Your small block, if you'll notice, one set of holes is towards that way, but the other set of holes is on this side. See, the holes are over here. So when you lay them side by side like this, the holes are going to go opposite directions. I don't know. I can't even do that. Yeah, they're like that. There we go. Anyway, they go in 2 different directions. There we go. That way. So you got them going opposite sides. So the small block opposite sides, shorter. And now sometimes you will get a tube in here. I've not seen any, but sometimes I imagine you can, maybe on a 340 application or something like that. But it'd be weird because it would actually almost interfere with this. But I have had a few times when I couldn't get them out. So that's a very distinct possibility. But don't quote me on that one. But there's your major differences on your small block and big block. And again, the small block's got this weird little kick out here. I've seen some that are more not quite as distinct, but it is pretty much that way. So these are definitely going to be longer and shorter. Now there's one more type of motor mount that we want to talk about, and it starts in 1973 with the B bodies. But after 74 or 5, I think it's 74, almost everything, just your C bodies, your A body, everything started coming with this style. And I forget exactly what they call this. It's some kind of a, daggum it, I can't remember the name of it, but regardless, it comes with this round kind of bushing, okay? And this is a small block one, and the easiest way to tell on the small block one is exactly like the earlier 72 and down mounts, is your small block is going to be shorter. Now this one's 6 inches. Imagine that, just like the other side, just the earlier ones. The big blocks are going to be, 7-ish, a little bit longer, and some of the big blocks will actually have 3 of these holes in the top. I don't know if you can see those, but see these holes? The big blocks, one side's going to have 3 of those, and just like your earlier ones, your big block is also going to have this tube in here, okay, on the left-hand side. So keep that in mind. So if you're looking for this style, these are rarer than hen's teeth. I do believe they're reproducing them. I did a little research online to make sure I wasn't misleading any of you all on the motor mount deal here. So the big blocks are available, reproduction. Of course, they say that, but with this whole COVID thing, it's a crapshoot. But that's the major difference. Again, big block is bigger, and that's really what it boils down to. It's going to be longer, not necessarily wider, because if you look at the small block on these, it's actually wider. So don't go with width. Make sure you go with length. But same with these, longer ones are big block, and good luck trying to find those, unless, of course, thank God they're all making them new at this point. Whether or not you can get any or not, that's going to be the question. So there you go. That should cover pretty much all your big block, small block stuff. Small blocks, shorter. But if you can't remember shorter, because it's an inch, right? So if you can't remember shorter, longer, remember opposite. Did I do that? How did I do that? Opposite. If your bolt holes, when you lay them side by side, if your bolt holes are going 2 different directions, small block, right? That's probably the easiest way to remember it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Covered all the things I wanted to cover. You can look at each individual video on one component, or you can watch the finale one that covers all the different applications, if you will. So sorry about the sniffling and the hat and the gloves, but it's kind of cold out here. Hopefully spring will come quickly, and that'll be that. We can get back to doing the fun stuff that you don't freeze to death while you're working. Yeah, I'm a sissy. Don't like the cold, but I'm actually kind of cozy and warm right now. But it's hard to work with gloves. Yeah, So anyway, thank you for watching. Do me a favor and subscribe. Y'all are awesome.